Hey everybody, and welcome back in 2024. It's been a while since I've uploaded some new content here on YouTube, and the reason for that is that I had to create some workshops for different topics within my job. As some of you might know, I'm working at the university here in Germany. And I thought it would be a cool idea to share some of this content that I've created on YouTube so that people all over the world can follow along with these, let's say, beginner-friendly workshops, and I try my best to explain it in depth. And we will start with the Greenscreen Compositing. So as you can see, I dressed myself up like a pest doctor from medieval times and put him into some sort of cemetery scenery. And actually the assets and the footage that we're about to use and create is free for you, so I will just provide a link to my Dropbox page so you can download the assets and the footage and follow along with the tutorial. It's much to cover, so without further ado, let's get started. Okay, inside of After Effects, let's first import our files. Therefore, we can go into the project window here and we can just make a little bit more space, right-click, import files. And then we will take the clip that ends with 702, this one, and we can click on import. Oh, and by the way, you can of course drag and drop your footage directly into After Effects, so we can use our second clip, the 704, and just put it here. Okay. As a next step, because I'd like to work a little bit more organized, we will create some folders. We can do this once again by right-clicking and choose New Folder. And we will call this material. And let's put all our materials into this folder. And we can create a second folder, which we will call comp. I used the comp with a K because it's the German word for Komposition. And as a next step, we will have to pre-cut our footage. So let's double click this one so we can see it in the preview window. And as you can see, I was doing some work before because I shoot this completely on myself, so I had to check the focus and I had to check the costume and all that kind of stuff. So this is just me just dangling around before really the shot really starts. So you can see it here if you just scrub through the footage. Somewhere here where I start to move along, we can get everything else that is happening before. We can just make a cut. We don't need that. So we can use this in point area. You can find it down here. And we can click that. And now After Effects is deleting all the stuff that is happening before. Okay. And we can do the same thing for the end of the clip. So let's scrub through and see somewhere here is the lightning strike. And then after this, I just, start adjusting my costume again. And we can set an in point before. And this way we've pre-cutted our footage. And if we now take our file and create a new comp, we can do this by just drag and drop our footage down here to this symbol. And as you can see, now After Effects just make the cut and we just have the clip that we needed for our composition. And we can now close our footage window up here. We don't need that anymore. Go back to composition window. And now, as you can see, when we scrub through, we have our clip. Maybe we can even cut this a little bit more. So as you can see, there was like the rough cut, and now we'll do the fine cutting inside of the composition. So we can do this in two different ways. We can use our mouse and just slide our footage. This way we can make a cut. But this is not like that easy when we have to make a cut in the middle of a clip, like for example here. And for this one, we will use the shortcut Ctrl-Shift-D, or we can use the edit function up here, and we can do the exact same thing, so cutting the layer. Okay, so let's do this at the very beginning. So we can get this one off the way, so Ctrl-Shift-D, and just delete this piece up here. And now we can use a shortcut to arrange or to trim our work area. We can of course use our mouse once again to just put this blue gizmo into place. Or we can use the shortcut, which in this case is the B key. And we can do the exact same thing on the end of our clip. So as you can see, somewhere around here is our pest doctor, and maybe we can end up somewhere here and we can click the N key and then right click up here in this corner and just trim down the work area. So now that we've done that, let's rename our composition, because at the moment the composition is called as our file which is coming directly out of the camera. So we go up to composition and then composition settings. And here we have our resolution and our composition name. So let's call this front green screen, for example. And you can see like the full HD resolution that I was shooting this on, and the frame rate, which in this case is 24 frames. And let's change the beginning of our time code to 0 so that our composition is also starting at frame 0. And that makes it a little bit easier and a little bit better to read. Okay, so now let's start cutting out our green screen. For this one, we will use the shortcut G, which is the pen tool. You might have known this tool from other softwares like Photoshop. Okay, so we need to get rid of this blue curtain and the white wall up here. So let's press the shortcut G, or we can click that up here. And now let's really cut out our element. Just think of it as a digital scissor. So you can really just make a few clicks, one down here in the bottom, somewhere here, then up here in the corner, and then maybe someone here. We will make our fourth point a little bit more here, because as you can see, the right corner is a little bit overexposed and we don't want this green screen to be seen from key light. So let's cut that out. And if we now connect the last and the first dot, you can see that our cursor starts to change to a circle. And if we click that, our mask is completed and closed. And as you can see now, and because we are having a tripod shot instead of a moving shot from a gimbal or dolly, this is pretty easy to mask out. Otherwise, we would have to animate the mask to make this one work. And if we now check our transparency, you can see everything that we've cut out is completely gone and already transparent. So we just need to take care of our green. And for this one, we will use an effect, which is pretty prominent in After Effects, which is called key light. So let's type in key light. And as you can see, if I expand this a little bit, After Effects will give you not only the effect key light down here, but it will give you a combination of different effects, which may lead to better results. So it's the key light, it's the key cleaner, and it's the advanced spill suppressor, I guess it is called. So let's drag and drop this onto our footage. And now you can see that After Effects switches to the effect panel. So from project to effects. And now we can define our green color, which we need to separate from the transparent background. Okay, so let's take our cursor or pipette or whatever this is called. And now let's search for an area of the green screen that is a little bit darker, and of course not the shadow area. So my body is catching a shadow on the green screen, which is not the best green color to pick. So maybe let's take this one here and just give it a go. And as you can see, for a first click, After Effects is doing a pretty good job trying to key out the green parts of our footage. And we can check this in our view display if we change this to screen matte. And the rule of thumb is everything that is green should be black, I mean pitch black, and everything or every person in front of the green screen should be white. So here you can see our problems. So we have some white areas down here. And even our pest doctor is not completely white, so we can change that with a few settings. So just click on the screen matte icon here and a drop down menu will appear. And we can change the black and the white colors. So let's raise our blacks a little bit and you will see that our blacks will start to be a little bit more black. Somewhere here, maybe a little bit more. And yeah, maybe we go up to like 30%. And then we can bring down our white area. So let's bring this down so that our pest doctor is becoming more and more white, maybe like 70%. And this already starts to look pretty good. We will not take care of this down here. I mean, maybe we can raise this up a little bit more, maybe to like 54 or something. Don't push it too far, as you can see, because then our effect will be completely broken. So you can see that now everything is starting to look a little bit weird. So go back to screen matte and bring down the clip black area to about 54%. And if we now double check our final result, you can see that the key light effect is doing a pretty good job. As mentioned before, we are not getting complete good results because of the folds and the wrinkles in the green screen. but that shouldn't be that much of a problem. So let's double check with solid and put it into the background so we can really see that there's no artifacts or other, elements that are maybe not correctly keyed out. But this is looking promising. And even when the green screen is being hit by the light, it seems to work. So this is good. So we just have to take care of our nasty edges. Let's go up into the full resolution so we can see it a little bit better. And once again, click on our footage so you can see this ugly edge here. And we will use the key cleaner effect to get rid of this ugly edge. And for this one, we will raise up the alpha contrast. So really bring this up to, let's say 100%. And now we just bring down the strength a little bit, maybe to like 1, 2, or maybe even 0%. And that seems to get rid of this nasty edge. And now we get a really nice clean key. And if we scrub through the footage, you can see that everything stays consistent. Okay, and now that we've keyed out this part, you can see we have some green spill in this area. And this is where the next effect comes into place, the advanced spill suppressor. So if we click on that, you can see that our green immediately gets away. And if we put this one to ultra, it gets even better. So before and after. So this takes care of all the spilling that is happening through the reflection of the green screen. So especially if you're working in a big green screen area, the light of the green screen is hitting the person in front of the green screen. And this effect really takes care of this pretty good. Now we got a pretty solid and clean green screen template to work with. So let's take care of our camera movement as a next step. Okay, and we can do that over the layer element. So we can click on layer and then new, and we will search for our 3D camera. This one. Okay. And as you can see, now we got a new window appearing with different settings, but just don't get confused by this. We will just take care of preset. In this case, a 35mm preset. So you can change that and you have your own custom elements, but we will take this 35mm preset. And then we can hit OK. And After Effects will tell us that we just don't have any 3D object yet, but we will change that, of course. And we have to just convert our footage into a 3D layer. And we're doing that by clicking this little button down here. So you can see it here. We have different options, motion blur and whatsoever. If you don't see this, you can hit the F4 key. Or if you're a Mac user, you can use the toggles down here. And now let's just click on the 3D layer and you will see that there's a little cube. And now our 2D footage, which was having only two axes, the y-axis is now having a third axis, which is the z-axis. And now we can position stuff in 3D space. We will just do a simple camera movement. So maybe our camera is, rolling behind a tombstone or something like that, and then is dollying on our pest doctor. So the idea here is to create two simple keyframes. So let's animate the position. Start our pest doctor somewhere here at the very right. Maybe a little bit closer. And then let's go through the clip. And at the very end of our clip, about 8 seconds later, our pest doctor will be at the center of our frame. So let's move him back. Somewhere here is good. Maybe a little bit back. And let's see what we've created so far. So our camera is moving from one side to another. You can press the spacebar to just get a preview from After Effects. Sometimes you have to load, but that shouldn't take too much time because we now have only like a few effects on our layer. And that looks okay. And as you can see, we have a linear animation because we didn't change our keyframes. So hit the F9 key to smooth out the keys. And this way we got an ease in and ease out effect. Or you can right click on each keyframe and click on the keyframe interpolation. And you can change that one to Bezier. Okay, and now if we go through our clip, this looks pretty smooth, like we would shot this one on a dolly. But of course this is a digital transition, but still looks a little bit more interesting than the static version that we've created in the green screen. Okay, cool. That works. What's the next step? So now we are more or less ready to move over to Blender because we did our job in After Effects. And as a next step, we have to create a 3D environment where our pest doctor is moving through. So let's jump into Blender. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's quickly talk about how to translate our camera data from After Effects to Blender. And on the internet there are a lot of solutions, but only a few of them really work and are pretty solid. So one of them that you will often find when you search for the transition between Blender and After Effects is this page here. And this is some awesome guy that just write down a script so you can use camera data, especially, or let's say exclusively for the 3D camera tracker. And there's the problem. If you're doing a 3D camera tracker and you get the data from the 3D camera tracker plugin within After Effects, this script is really, really neat and really helpful. So if you're doing a track like here, you get a perfect result if you translate these camera data over to Blender. But in our case, the script is doing something weird. So let me show you quickly what it will do. We prepared our camera as shown in the video before. Nothing special here. And when you install the script, you will find it under scripts and you can export the composition data to a JSON file. So let's quickly do that. And we can use our work area, that's fine, the selected elements, in this case the camera too. We can bake our transforms, I'm not pretty sure whether we have to. And we can put this on our desktop, that's fine, and we hit export. And that's all we have to do. And inside of Blender, once again you have to install the add-on that comes with this script. And then you have the option to import the After Effects composition data down here. And if we now click on that and import our JSON file, and we can say everything by default I think is fine. Maybe we can use the com center as the origin, but we don't have to. And if we import that, we get our camera. So everything looks good. Let's delete the default camera and the light. And if we go into our camera inside of Blender, you get the movement of our camera. And it seems to be fine, and I was working my way through all of this with the script, and maybe this works for you, I don't know. But, and this is the big but, there is something weird happening, and this is the focal length of the camera. So if we take a look at this, we got here 41.48 millimeters, while in After Effects, as you might remember, we used the 35 millimeter preset. So for whatever reason, the script is changing the focal length, and more importantly, it is changing the movement and the speed of the camera. And I have no idea why this is happening with this free script. If you're doing this with tracked camera data, it worked perfectly. But if you create your own 3D camera and then try to translate this over to Blender, this is kind of like the result. So you're getting close, but it's not the same camera movement. And if you just, for example, render out this cube, and we try to bring this back into After Effects, there would be some sort of sliding because it is not exactly the same camera movement that we've rendered out in After Effects. So at least at my stage, I get some quirky and weird results. So let me know in the comments if you have a fix for that. Because other than that, this script, which is free, is pretty awesome. So yeah, if you are on a low budget, this might be a good solution for you. Okay, let's delete all of that. And my solution, if you followed up other tutorials from me, is a little bit differently. So I got my layer and I can select my camera. And inside of Blender, I bought a script on aiscripts.com. And I use the add-on Blender AE, which is pretty similar in what the add-on is doing. So it connects Blender and After Effects. So you can go from Blender to After Effects and from After Effects to Blender, which is awesome. But it's a little bit pricey, so $30 for one single license. But it will do a much better job. And let me show you what this add-on will do. I don't have any affiliation with them, but it just seems to work a little bit better, at least in my workflow. So let's select our camera and go into our plugin. So here, and then you just have to connect to After Effects, like a click. You can use the AI Com Center and we can import the layers. And then it jumps shortly back to After Effects. And if we now take a look in Blender, we get this. So we got our camera with all the motion that is happening. And more importantly, the focal length is correct. So I have no idea why the free script is doing this weird thing, but this camera transition works. So if we import our After Effects camera like this, everything stays consistent. I can load up my background image. I can start to build a world around this camera movement. And if I re-import this later on in After Effects, it works. So just for you as a warning, let's hope that someone else is finding a solution for my problem, because I was trying to search for a low budget version, but Blender AE seems to be the better plugin in this case. So yeah, just for you as a quick reminder. But this is how we import a camera from After Effects into Blender. If you have the budget and you can spend 30 bucks on this awesome add-on, then do it. Other than that, try the script and search for a solution that just deals with this focal length issue. Okay, let's quickly talk about the file that comes with this tutorial project. So these are assets that I've created completely on my own. Even though for the base meshes of some of the tombstones or gravestones, I used a free pack that you can download on Gumroad. Thanks to Santiago for this awesome free IMM brush pack. So these are IMM brushes for ZBrush, but I guess they come with a FBX file too. So if you're not into sculpting yet, you can try these base meshes and put a little bit more detail on this, like I would do here with more, some moss and some text and some aging effects like breaking up the edges and stuff like that. Yeah, so your pack will look something more or less like this. So these are some base elements that I've created on my own. And don't worry too much, because if we take a look at the project that I've been working on in the tutorial, it will look something like this. So it's still the same file, but I've added in some external but still free assets. But don't worry, I will put a PDF file in the download folder so you can find the resources on Sketchfab and Quixel, I guess. But I cannot share the whole folder with you because these are not my assets, so you just have to add them by yourself. But other than that, let's continue with the tutorial.